You're under contract, you love the house, and then the inspection report lands in your inbox and it's 40 pages long. What's serious? What's not? What do you actually walk away from? I'm breaking down 10 of the biggest things I see show up in Atlanta home inspections, and I'm going to tell you exactly what each one means for you as a buyer. Number one, and this is going to be an obvious one, but it's worth talking about, is foundation issues. This is the one that stops deals cold, and really for good reason. Cracks in the foundation, visible movement, water intrusion coming through the foundation walls, these are not things that you can just patch and move on from. Foundation problems are expensive, they're complicated, and they affect everything above them. Now, not every crack is a catastrophe. Hairline cracks are sometimes just settling you see on most homes. But the stair-step cracks in the block foundation, the horizontal cracks that go all the way across the walls, cracks that are wide or uneven, or sometimes if you see a separation and a part of that wall just sticking out just a little bit, those are the ones that you absolutely need to get a certified, licensed structural engineer to look at, not just a home inspector. I will tell you, a home inspector is going to look at even hairline cracks and make you absolutely panic about them. But when in question, don't rely just on a home inspector. Get a structural engineer if it's anything that you are second guessing. And you yourself don't guess on this one. All right, number two, and this is where I tell all buyers to pause. When the roof and the HVAC system are both old or past their life expectancy at the same time. Both on their own is manageable. But when you're looking at a roof that has maybe 2 or 3 years left on it, an HVAC system that is past its life expectancy, and I usually say past that 15-year mark, and especially if it's hitting that 20-year-old mark, now you're looking at two major expenses coming at you within just probably a few years of closing. That changes the math on your entire purchase. This is the conversation you need to have with your real estate agent before you decide how to proceed with buying your house or not. What's the price? What are the comparable homes selling for? Is there room to negotiate and kind of build in a little bit of buffer for these things? Because if the seller isn't willing to move on price or credits when both of those systems are at the end of the life, that is a problem that you may need to walk away from. Speaking of HVAC systems, but HVAC systems that are old but they're still running and working properly, here's what most buyers don't realize. If the system is old but has been maintained and the inspector says, hey, this thing is in good working condition, that's actually useful information that you can work with. Here's the thing, it's extremely difficult to get a seller to replace something that isn't broken. So instead of fighting that battle, just work around it. Ask for a credit at closing, so just for maybe a portion of what it would cost you to replace that air conditioner system. They're not going to give you the whole entire thing, likely, but maybe ask for a little bit. And then put that money towards replacement when that time comes. Also, look into a home warranty that covers the system while you're in the home. Neither is perfect, but both buy you time and keep money in your pocket. And honestly, part of this is just part of owning a home, right? HVAC systems have a lifespan. Roofs have a lifespan. When you buy a home, especially an older home, you need to be budgeting for these things to go at some point. Know the age, know the condition, and have a plan. Don't panic, just negotiate. Number 4, water intrusion. Water is the enemy of a home. It doesn't matter where it's showing up, basement, crawl space, around windows, in the attic. Active water intrusion means something is wrong and it needs to be found and fixed before you close. The danger with water isn't just the immediate damage. It's what happens over time. Mold, rot, structural problems. Water that's been getting in for years leaves a trail of damage that isn't always visible on the surface. If your inspector flags active water intrusion, you need to understand the source, the extent, and the cost to remediate before you make any decision. Number 5, sewer lines, and this one has 2 separate conversations, so stay with me. First, the cast iron pipe inside the home. A lot of older in-town Atlanta homes were built with cast iron drain lines, and over time they corrode and deteriorate, and they will eventually fail. Now, here's my take on this. I don't recommend replacing it all at once. Cast iron isn't something that you tear out when it's still functioning. What I tell buyers is don't fix what isn't broken. But when you start having backups, you address it in sections as you go wherever that problem is. It's more manageable that way, and it's not the crisis it sounds like on an inspection report. The second, to me, really is the bigger issue. This is the line running from the house to the street, and this is the one that's non-negotiable for me. Always, always, always get a plumbing scope during your due diligence on that line. Always. What you want to see is PVC or concrete piping there, right? What you don't want to see is root intrusion, deterioration, or a line that's bellied or collapsed. The line is not cheap to fix, and it's completely separate from what's happening inside the house. 2 different issues, 2 different, very different price tags. Know the condition of both before you close. I will tell you, if the pipe running from the house to the street is cast iron, again, make sure you get a sewer scope. A plumber will be able to tell you the condition of that pipe. If the pipe is in really bad shape, it is my recommendation that you guys need to get that completely replaced before you close. Okay, number 6, the crawl space. This is one of the most important things your home inspector is going to look at. Failing support structures, wood rot, standing water, crawl space problems are expensive and they affect everything above them. Here's the Atlanta specific piece. We live in a very humid environment, and a crawl space without proper encapsulation is constantly pulling in ground moisture. Over time, that moisture turns into mold, wood rot, and structural damage. If it doesn't have the encapsulation, you've got to budget for it. It's not always a deal breaker, but it's something that you can't ignore either. Depending on the size of the house, you need to be budgeting probably around, I don't know, maybe 6,000 to 8,000 for to get that plastic barrier down on that crawl space. So again, something to know, maybe something to negotiate before you close on a house that doesn't have anything in a crawl space. Number 7, the deck. Decks are popular here. Decks get overlooked constantly because they look fine from the outside. You're looking at the house, you're standing on it, everything appears to be great. But what your inspector is going to look for is how it's built, how it's actually attached to the house, and how the support posts, are they improper, inadequate footings, ledger boards that are pulling away from the house. These are big, big safety issues, not just cosmetic ones. And depending on the size of the deck and how it was built, to repair it or replace can be significant amount of money. Decks just aren't cheap. A large deck that wasn't built to code and is starting to separate from the structure, that is not a small fix. And to be honest with you, if a seller isn't willing to get it fixed or replaced for you, to me personally, that's just probably something that I'm going to walk away from because decks are going to be tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. Number 8 are retaining walls. This one is specific to in-town Atlanta and the hilly terrain that a lot of these neighborhoods sit on. Retaining walls that are leaning, cracking, showing signs of failure are holding back a significant amount of soil and pressure. When they go fast and the damage can be extensive. Buyers walk right past retaining walls all the time. They're just part of the landscape, they blend in, and nobody thinks about them until they're failing. If your property has retaining walls, make sure your inspector looks at them very closely. And if there are any concerns, get a structural engineer or a licensed contractor out to assess these before you close, because again, this is one of those other things that retaining walls are not cheap to replace. That is a big, big job, and you just want to know what you're getting into it before you get into it. Number 9, we live in Georgia, so let's talk about radon. And I want to be very clear up front. This is not a deal breaker, but you absolutely need to test for it. Um, Georgia is just one of those states. We have high radon levels here. It is a natural occurring gas that seeps up from the ground and can accumulate inside a home. You can't see it, you can't smell it, and long-term exposure is a serious health risk. The EPA has an action level, and of the making of this video, it's 4.0. So if that test comes back above that number, you need a mitigation system. The good news is that radon mitigation is straightforward and it's pretty affordable. We're talking around, I don't know, $2,500 to $3,500 to install a system that brings the levels down to a safe range. And once that system's in place, you're good. It's not a deal breaker, but again, it's just one of those things. If you have radon, you're gonna need to mitigate it. It's fixable. And here's what I tell buyers that I work with. Add the radon test to your inspection. It's a small additional cost and it's information that you need to have, so don't skip it. Number 10, electrical. Older homes come with older electrical systems, mixed wiring, outdated panels, wiring that doesn't meet current codes. These things show up all the time in these 1940s, 50s, and 60s homes, especially in Atlanta. Here's what I want you to understand. Old doesn't automatically mean dangerous. Some of these systems have been maintained well and are perfectly functional. Some of them are a serious safety concern. The problem is that home inspectors can flag electrical issues, and they do 99.9% of the time, but they are not qualified to tell you whether the system is actually safe or what it would cost to bring it up to current standards. That requires a licensed electrician. If your inspector comes back with electrical flags on an older home, bring a licensed electrician in before your inspection time is over, not after. Get a real assessment of what you're dealing with, what's actually a concern, and what it would cost to address it. That's the only way to make an informed decision. Again, sometimes with this electrical stuff, it can be relatively simple, non-expensive things to fix. Sometimes if panels and wiring and all that stuff needs to be updated, that can get expensive. It can get into the thousands very quickly. So again, if your inspector flags anything electrical, always just get a licensed electrician back out to take a second look and give you a quote for that work so you can address that in your due diligence period. Okay. If you were thinking about buying a home in Atlanta and you want someone in your corner who knows what to look for and how to navigate what comes back on the report, reach out to me directly. My number is on the screen. And if you were thinking about buying, you probably want to know how much closing costs are. I break everything down in this next video. I hope to see you over there.